Hello and welcome to Fanatics Gym. My name is Jake Barbosa, and today's exercise that we'll be going over is preacher curls. All right, so the preacher curl was actually started by a man named Vince Gironda, and it was brought into popularity by his protege, Mr. Larry Scott. Now, Larry Scott was the first gentleman to win Mr. Olympia, and he actually won it back-to-back. So he won the first year it came into being, and then the second year. And Larry Scott made this exercise kind of mainstream so much that people that started using it started calling it the Larry Scott workout, the Larry Scott curl, the preacher bench, much like this. That was actually called the Scott bench. So, however, a man that's even more interesting, I think, than Mr. Larry Scott is Vince himself. Now, Vince, oh wait, little trickster on these. Whenever you put the weight on, take it off this, because if you put it on this side, it's going to come up and hit you in the face. Now, if you're coming on this side and you put weight on this side, it's going to come back and hit you in the face. Now, if you're doing it with a buddy, and your buddy's kind of a dick, and you guys are taking weight off or putting it on. So say you're taking weight off and your buddy takes off like 25 pounds over there, or rather you take off the weight and he keeps his on, this is gonna come up and hit you in the face. So you don't want that. Now Vince is an interesting guy. So he was actually the owner of Vince's Gym. That was in I want to say Studio City out here in California. So when the war was going on back in the 40s, him and his buddies, they knew that bodybuilding and weightlifting altogether was kind of frowned upon. And in his words, in an interview, and I'll put the link in the description for you to read if you want to check it out. He said that if you were caught weightlifting and the thought of weightlifting with a bunch of dudes, you were thought to be gay. So they had to kind of lift in secret. So what Vince did is when he opened up his gym, or when he started training Mr. Scott, when he started training Larry and taught him this exercise, it was to increase his peak in his bicep. And what Larry did is, of course he trained him, and then he started bringing in big names like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Katz thing, and started teaching them this exercise. And what they did is they took it to gyms that they were going to around the world and training at, and they started to incorporate this exercise into their workouts. So that's how it kind of got from gym to gym and all over the world. And there's different variations of the bench. So there was the of course sitting one, there was a standing one. The one that was standing, there's some that's actually coming out of the ground. You could probably look that up. They're pretty cool. And then people started doing different variations of them as well. So if you can picture like a decline bench, they would just put a pad on the end of it, so where your legs would be, and they'd use it that way. So here we go. So there's actually a couple ways you can do this. And I'll also put this link in the description. Vince, in his own words, said there's a particular way to do this. So what you need is, this bench actually has to be 3 inches below your pecs. So actually it's kind of a little high for me right here, so let me lower it down. About 3 inches below your pecs, and if you want to hit the inside of your bicep, you're going to have wide elbows, close grip. If you want to hit the outer portion of your bicep, you're going to have narrow elbows, wide grip. If you want to hit the belly of your bicep, your grip and your elbows are going to be about 12 inches apart. So again, I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. So this is how I do my preacher. I typically use this exercise for not only the peak, but the inner part of my bicep, because I like flexing a lot and it looks good. So how I do mine is I'll get it like this. I'll put my pinkies, so if you have a curling bar, you know what I'm talking about. I'll put my pinkies on the grip. So if you can look at this one right here. So if you can see this grip right here, this threading, and then this is the smooth part, I'll put my pinkies right here, and curl this way, boom. So again, this is just how I do mine. Pinkies on the grip. Yep. And you can go slow. Now that was kind of like I was just doing it, but oh yeah, we have these towels here because as you can tell, we use this a lot. So this started eating down to the wood, so we put this on so it kind of evens out. There's a little bit more padding on this side, and we won't get splinters because splinters suck. As you can see, that's how I kind of do mine, and I'll do different variations. So if we're gonna do the three that Vince was talking about, let's do that. So we'll start with the outer portion. Like this. It's pretty good. So that was the outer portion of my bicep. That was pretty good. When I typically do that, I use the barbell just because I just like it and that's my routine right now. But that felt pretty good. I'm probably going to use actually all of these. So let's try the inner one. Ah, yeah. That was nice. Get a little pump right here. Get a good little pump. Now let's do the belly one. So the belly one, he said 12 inches elbows, 12 inches hands. Oh yeah, that was great. So I'm not sure if you can tell because I was going pretty fast, which is rude of me. I'll probably do it again. Is I like leaning over because if I'm far back like this, and you'll notice this too if you give it a try. When you come up, it's a lot of strain on your biceps. But once you get to about right here or so, the resistance goes away. So it's not like you're working out anything. So I lean forward a little bit so I have that constant resistance. And it's good. You get up to the top and you squeeze. Now if you also noticed, I have my hands kind of hanging out like this as opposed to coming in like this. Because if I have them like this, it puts a lot of emphasis on my biceps. Whereas I go like this, I find myself cheating a lot. And it kind of hurts my wrist. So we'll do this a couple more times. Let me get you a closer view. All right, let's do the outer portion of the bicep. Pretty good, pretty good. All right, let's go in. Boom! All right, now it's time for the belly. The belly. Man, that was pretty good. I definitely want to try that out in his gym. Too bad it's not around anymore. Actually, His gym was actually pretty serious. It was like a no BS place. He actually had a sign in there that basically told people to shut up when they're lifting. So you couldn't talk when you're working out. And he was a no BS guy. No bullshit around that dude. Actually, he went to Burbank High School, interestingly enough, out here in California, which is only a few miles away from here. But man, that's pretty cool. Hey, thanks for joining us today on today's episode. And give these a try out in your gym. It's pretty good. It's a great bicep development. You get the really, really good pump, a really good peak. And we'll see you next time.